Shalom Israel. Before I start, I want to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Maharak Dash, doubling us to the elders and apostles in Israel who read and teach well, to the Akims and the highways and byways, and those pushing videos in truth and sincerity, to the brothers and sisters in the truth. It's like that. Yeah, so as you can see, the title, the Cult of Christianity, because one thing what they like to do is call us a cult, ignoring the fact that they themselves are a cult. They're the biggest cult going, and they've been a very dangerous cult throughout the history. Yeah, so there's a couple videos I want to play and go through some article bits, but before I do any of that, I want to show you this disclaimer for the videos. Yeah. So, first video I want us to look at, like I said, they like to refer to us as a cult. Now, before I go into that, let's look at this word there still. See what is defined as a cult. So it says a system of religious veneration and devotion directed towards a particular figure or object. So as much as they like to call us a cult, religion itself is a cult. They give devotion directed to white Jesus, which is a fictional character. It's not a biblical character. It's a character based on a biblical character, but it's not the biblical character, who we know as Yahushai. It says in modern English, a cult is a social group that is defined by its unusual religious, spiritual, or philosophical beliefs and rituals, or its common interest in a particular personality, white Jesus, object, or goal. So it says it's unusual religious beliefs. So let's look at some of their, actually, before I do that. It says what classifies as a cult. A cult is a group or movement held together by a shared commitment to a charismatic leader or ideology. It has a belief system that has the answers to all of life's questions, which Christianity says it does, Islam says it does. So those would be also deemed as cults, and offers a special solution to be gained only by following the leader's rules. It says, what makes a cult a cult? It says, what are the characteristics of a cult? The word cult can be broadly defined as formal religious veneration, a system of religious beliefs and its body of adherents. It says, a religion regarded as unorthodox or spurious, great devotion to a person or idea, as well as persons united by devotion or allegiance to an artistic or intellectual movement or figure. But it says a system of religious beliefs and its body of adherents, a religion regarded as unorthodox or spurious, and that word spurious, says not being what it's purport to be, false or fake, and that's Christianity. It's not what it makes out to be. A lot of the doctrines of that cult contradicts things in the Bible. They'll use verses in the Bible as part of their cult beliefs, but then when you bring out other scriptures or read other scriptures, you see that it totally contradicts that. For instance, the famous John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his son, that whoever wants to believe in him should not perish. So la da 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 da. But then you go to John 17:9, the same son that was meant to come to die for everyone, who the Father sent to die for everyone, he says, I pray for them, I pray not for the world. So is he going against what his Father sent him to do? Or is the religion itself, the doctrine, false and fake? And that's what it is, it's false and fake. Because why? It's cultish, it's a cult. Now, what else did it say? It says here, we'll come back. It says, Okay. Where is it? So the word cult can be broadly defined as formal religious veneration, a system of religious beliefs, yeah, and its body of adherents. So let's look at some of its beliefs, yeah, in the early founding fathers. Hold on, Christianity and slavery. It says early Christian thought exhibited some signs of kindness towards slaves. It says some kind signs of kindness. It says Christianity recognized marriage of sorts among slaves. Thank you. Freeing slaves was regarded as an act of charity. And when slaves were buried in Christian cemeteries, the graves seldom included any indication that the person buried had been a slave. Now, it says how Christianity, hold on, how Christian slave owners use the Bible to justify slavery. So, this cult itself didn't have much issues with slavery, and it used the Bible. This is why I say the doctrine itself is false and fake, because it used the Bible to justify what it was doing, and it didn't use those verses correctly. So it says, during the period of American slavery, how did slave owners manage to balance their religious beliefs with the cruel facts of the peculiar situation? Yeah, like a lot of those hangings that we saw, the lynchings, they were good old Christians. Yeah, as shown by the following passages adapted from Noel Ray's new book, The Great Stain, which uses first-hand accounts to tell the story of slavery in America. Some of them that rationalized was right there in the Bible. It says, out of the more than 750,000 words in the Bible, Christian slave owners, and if asked, most slave holders, yeah, Christian slave holders, Slakia, and if asked, most slave holders would have defined themselves as Christians, yeah, good old cultish Christians, had two favorite texts, one from the beginning of the Old Testament, Slakia, and the other from the end of the New Testament, in the words of King James Bible, which was the version then current. These were first Genesis 19:18 to 27, and the sons of Noah that went forth from the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Yeah, now, when we jump down, it says, and Noah began to be an husbandman, and he planted the vineyard, and he drank of the wine, was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, told his two brethren without, and Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it upon their shoulders and went backward and covered the nakedness of their father, and their faces were backward, and they saw not their father's nakedness. And Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done unto him. And he said, cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. And he said, blessed be the Lord, power of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. The Most High shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. Yeah, and it says, despite some problems with this story, what's so terrible about seeing Noah drunk? Why curse Canaan rather than Ham? How long was the servitude to last? Surely Ham would have been the same color as his brothers. It says it eventually became the foundational text for those who wanted to justify slavery on biblical grounds. It is boiled down, in its boiled down popular version known as the Curse of Ham, which this is how I knew it, as a youth growing up in the Christian church, as the Curse of Ham, when if you read it, the curse was on Canaan. And that was really for the wickedness that the Canaanites would have done later on down the line. Says Canaan was dropped from the story, Ham was made black, and the descendants were made Africans, which is why they call us Hamites today, because we were taken from that landmass. But we are Shemites. and they know this. It says the other favorite came from the Apostle Paul's epistle to the Ephesians, Ephesians 6, 5 to 7. Servants, be obedient to them that are your masters according to the flesh, with fear and trembling, in singleness of your heart, as unto a Mashiach, not with eye service as men pleasers, but as the servants of Mashiach, doing the will of the Most High from the heart, with good will doing service as to the Lord and not to men, knowing that whatsoever good thing any man doeth, the same shall be he receive of the Lord. Yeah, whatever you sow, you shall reap. Whether he be bond or free, says Paul repeat himself almost word for word in the 3rd chapter of the epistle of Colossians. Yeah, so this is the good old Christian beliefs. It says the rest of the Old Testament was often mined by pro-slavery polemists for examples, providing that slavery was common among the Israelites. The New Testament was largely ignored, except in the negative sense of pointing out that nowhere did Yahushua condemn slavery, and it's even mentioned in Revelation 13 and 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Although the story of Philemon, the runaway who St. Paul returned to his master, was often quoted, it was also generally accepted that Latin word servus, usually translated as servant, really meant slave. It says, even apparent abuses, when looked at in the right light, worked out for the best. In the words of Bishop William Mead of Virginia, remember these are the good old Christians from that Christian cult. So suppose, for example, that you're being punished for something you did not do. Is it not possible that you may have done some other bad thing which was never discovered, and that the almighty power who saw you doing it would not let you escape without punishment one time or another? And this is what it says in Jeremiah 49 and 12, those who weren't meant to be punished, roughly paraphrasing, have surely drunk of the cup. Thou, he who should go unpunished, thou shalt surely drink of it. Roughly paraphrasing. It says, a case hardly to be imagined, and that you have by no means known or unknown deserved the correction you suffered. There is great comfort in it, that if you bear it patiently and leave your case in the hands of the Most High, he will reward you for it in heaven, and the punishment you suffered unjustly here shall turn to exceeding great glory hereafter, which is going to happen, man. It says, all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries shall go into captivity, so we will suffer patiently. It says, Bishop Stephen Elliott of Georgia also knew how to look on the bright side. Critics of slavery should consider whether, by their interference with this situation, they may not be checking and impeding a work which is manifestly providential. For nearly 100 years, the English and American churches have been striving to civilize and Christianize Western Africa. Why? Because they knew that a lot of the Israelites had fled there. And with what result? I'm going to look at some of the results later on. It says, around Sierra Leone, and in the neighborhood of Cape Palmas, a few natives have been made Christians, and some nations have been particularly civilized. Yeah, so we were uncivilized before this barbarous group came and forced their religion, their cult, on us. But what a small number in comparison with the thousands, nay, I may say millions, who have learned the way to heaven and who have been made to know their Savior through the means of African slavery. Yeah, and who's that Savior meant to be? White Jesus, which is not our Savior, man. It says, at this very moment, there are from 3 to 4 millions of Africans educating for earth and for heaven in the so vilified southern states, learning the very best lessons for semi-barbarous people. And this is how they saw us, as a semi-barbarous people. And that's coming from a base people. Yeah. The border of wickedness. It says lessons of self-control which they didn't learn themselves, of obedience, of perseverance, of adaptation of means to ends, learning above all where their weakness lies, yeah, and that's in us breaking the laws of the Most High, and how they may acquire strength for the battle of life. These considerations satisfy me with their condition. So, yeah, is actually making himself comfortable with the condition that we're going through. It says these considerations satisfy me with their conditions. And if you look at our conditions through slavery, they were very poor. But this is how he satisfied himself. Yeah, we were a semi-barbarous people learning the very best lessons. Yeah, how not to be, and assure me that it is the best relation they can for the present be made to occupy. Yeah. And this is from the Cult of Christianity. Says, reviewing the work of the white churches, Frederick Douglass had this to say: between the Christianity of this land and the Christianity of Christ, I recognize that the widest possible differences, so wide that to receive the one as good, pure, and holy is of necessity to reject the other as bad, corrupt, or wicked. To be the friend of the one is of necessity to be the enemy of the other. I love the pure, peaceable, and impartial Christianity of Christ, which we don't know that one, because that's not how this religion was perpetrated and spread and taught. It says, I therefore hate the corrupt, slave-holding, woman-whipping, cradle-plundering, partial and hypocritical Christianity of this land, yeah, which is the norm. Yeah, this is the foundation for Christianity. Indeed, I can see no reason but the most deceitful one for calling the religion of this land Christianity. And the thing is, now they've subjugated everyone. Now all of a sudden you can see the wickedness in what was happening previously. But before that, the good old slave owners that was lynching, whipping, raping, they didn't see nothing wrong with what they were doing. You know, they were teaching a barbarous people. Look more at this quote. It says, the Catholic Church's grim history of ignoring priestly pedophilia and silencing would-be whistleblowers. So I'm not even going to read it. I'm just the title. Actually, read a little bit. It says, widespread public shock followed the recent release of the Pennsylvania grand jury report that identified more than 1,000 child victims of clergy sexual abuse. In fact, as I know through my research, the Vatican and its American bishops have known about the problem of priestly pedophilia since at least the 1950s. Yeah, this is what this code does, man. And the church has consistently silenced would-be whistleblowers from within its own ranks. Now, we are being called a cult. We've not murdered no one. And you have this apologist who's always trying to put things upon us. And what I mean by that, there was a guy, Jake, I believe, for argument's sake, he followed Judaism. Yeah. What he did, he starved his 2 children, I believe himself, to death. But you got this this guy here, known as Vocab Malone. He was always out for us. He tried to, in his interview with the child's mom and her boyfriend, he acknowledged that this guy followed, for want of a better word, Judaism. But then the title of his video was Israelites Murders Children, His Children, or something along that. So this is how these devils operate, trying to put us down and put us in a bad light. But he will never go up against things like what we just read about the Catholic Church. You won't hear him speak out against that. Yeah, you don't hear him speak out against the wickedness of how the religion that he follows, yeah, because he's a Christian apologist, yeah, and he's not even apologizing for nothing, yeah, how they were established and the wickedness that they still do. So I want to play this video here on him. Okay, so here's a disclaimer. Okay. Now this is footage, IUIC events. It says the Jesuit FBI informant, and this explains why this guy is. If you go on his webpage, his YouTube channel, I should say, it's like we're all he can talk about. The Israelites this, Israelites that. Why? Because he's a Jesuit FBI informant. So let's watch this.
Ignore that, but that's why we dismiss that dude Mark Reiser. We dismiss him.
And that's his proper name. Yeah, Vocab Malone, that's his proper name.
Mark Reiser, we dismiss him because this Bible is not his. He have no authority teaching this.
We believe in this Bible. When Christ comes, it's over. Read below. Thine enemies make a tumult.
You know, they don't even look in our direction. Yeah. They averted even their eyes.
So it says, who put him up to this? Yeah. This is very interesting. And who does he work for?
I'm just super curious to know, like, what led to all this. Well, one day I was chilling, you know, and I heard a knock on the door, and it was a man in a black suit, and he said, I'm a Jesuit, and we want to hire you. We've got some Vatican money. And I said, okay, do you have any other credentials? And he also told me he works for the FBI, and I was in.
Let's watch that again.
I'm just super curious to know, like, what led to all this. Well, one day I was chilling, you know, and I heard a knock on the door, and it was a man in a black suit, and he said, I'm a Jesuit, and we want to hire you. We've got some Vatican money.
No,
and I said, okay, do you have any other credentials? And he also told me he works for the FBI, and I was in.
So that explains why this guy is so hard on us. Yeah, because he's an FBI informant. As I said, it's a Jesuit FBI informant. Yeah. Now, going back to this cult, Christianity, they like to call us a cult.
But today, guys, we have Mrs. J with us.
And now this video here, it says, my response to pork chop black pastors who say we're a cult. And this is on Sakari Sargent's channel. Yeah, so this is where this video here comes from. A good video as well.
And just like the title says, guys, she is going to be talking about her experience with the Hebrew Israelite cult.
I think one of the writers in our book of Urban Apologetics, he coined the.
And like I said, you know, if you see what I'd gone through earlier, Christianity itself falls into that definition of a cult, and it's the biggest cult going.
We're bricks. And so when I think of, which means black religious identity cults, you know, my significance, what's my purpose, dignity, what's my value, identity, who am I? And so I think a lot of the bricks, black religious identity cults, tend
black Hebrew Israelites. That's kind of the theme of our episode today. What are some of the things? I'm not really familiar with this particular cult. I know enough to call it a cult because people that I trust have labeled it as such. But what are some?
But he'll never look at the history of Christianity and call it a cult. Yeah. He doesn't seem to know enough about Christianity to refer to it as what it is, a cult.
Some of the things that they deny in terms of core Christian beliefs.
And we went over some of their core Christians' belief. You know, where it says, these considerations satisfy me with their condition. Yeah. What condition? Us being slaves, the way we were treated. Yeah. This is coming from Christians.
Man, it's quite a bit. You know, they're probably one of the most heretical groups out there. So what about the black Hebrew Israelites, or as they sometimes call themselves, the Hebrew Israelites? Are they a dangerous cult? Oh, yes, absolutely.
So we're a dangerous cult. We've never killed no one, even though they tried to pin things on us. Like I said earlier on, that guy who starved his children and himself to death, you know, he was known, can't remember the group, but let's say for argument's sake, it was Judaism. But on Vocab Malone's video type, it says Israelite kills family or something along that line. But he put Israelites in there, but yet still he knows he wasn't an Israelite. So, yes.
Heaven hits the earth, will I find my rest?
Yes, this is just your daily friendly reminder that Christianity is not a marginalized group in America, and no matter how much you would like to imagine yourself as Daniel in the lion's den, a Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, some of the most heinous, hateful, racist acts in American history were committed by churchgoers. Yes.
But the fact of the matter is, they don't bring this up. You know, some of them don't know enough about Christianity to say it's a cult. But that guy earlier on, he knew enough about us, and because people he trusted said we're a cult, to call us a cult.
Slaveholders went to church, Ku Klux Klan members went to church, crooked police officers and lawyers and judges all went to church. And of course, there were good, decent, moral Christian folk as well who did benevolent and wonderful things. But the reality is there was never a time in American history where Christians were persecuted en masse politically by the government, by its institution, for being Christians. But there has been plenty of times in American history where so-called Christians have persecuted other groups of people for their race, gender, sexuality, and ethnic background up to the point of literal genocide. And this is not something that
But with that said, as long as you can, what did he put here? Yeah, it says learning the very best lessons for semi-barbarous people. So as long as you can teach a semi-barbarous people some lessons, you're quite comfortable being a Christian.
Christian path up to this very moment, the biggest threat of our national security is Christian fascism. Because Muslims are intolerant.
And this guy here, they're now banned him from certain media sites because he speaks a lot of truth that they don't like. And I don't agree with everything that he says, but truth is truth. And he speaks some here too.
And I'm not saying that disrespectfully, because if you're tolerant of everything, then you stand for nothing.
Yeah.
Christians are so tolerant now that you can go to church. These girls will get fucked on a Saturday night and go to church on a Sunday morning and get fucked
for the language
on Sunday night, and it's no big deal, right? So you don't believe it. They have gay pastors that I'm not even anti-gay, but if the book says don't have, like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
what do you believe in now? If you're tolerant of everything, you stand for nothing. I can walk through London with a T-shirt saying Jesus is gay, and nothing will happen to me. If I did the same thing with the Islamic prophet, I'd be dead before I got to the end of the street. Boom. But you can insult the church all day. You can make fun of it. There's a fucking show on Netflix about gay Jesus. That's a joke, right? Ha ha ha. And what do the Christians do? Nothing. Yeah. Christianity is a dead religion. If you're a Christian, and I'm saying this as a Christian myself, Christianity is a dead religion which is confined to the history books.
And this is what they're butthurt about, because now our people, Shalom, now our people are teaching the truth of the scriptures. A number of our people are leaving the churches, if they've not left already, and coming to the truth of the scriptures, to who we are. We teach our people to follow the laws of the Bible, something which the good old Christians don't do. They say the laws are done away with, but when you read Psalms 19 and 7, it says, the law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. So why would you disregard something that the Bible you claim to believe in says is perfect? Because they don't believe in it, that's why. Because they're a cult.
It's dying out. Your own Pope. The Pope goes up there and talks LGBTQ shit.
That's crazy.
It is over. You don't stand for anything. You don't believe in anything. You have no boundaries. You're walked on. You're mocked. You're divorced. Your fucking Christian wife, after taking her to church for 20 years, will fuck the gardener behind her back. The whole thing is a joke. Being a Christian now is nothing more than advertising. You're a loser. It's a losing religion.
I'm a white woman who grew up in an evangelical culty religion. As I educate myself, though, I really get stuck on this one point. White Christians would go to church on a Sunday wearing a cross around their neck to worship a martyr God who was crucified by being nailed to a cross to be publicly tortured to death for political reasons. And then those same Christians would leave church with a picnic to go to a public lynching. And then they would gather by the hundreds or thousands to do to a black person the same or worse than
this is your beautiful Christianity. Yeah, your beautiful Christianity, which many of our people follow today. But for some reason, it's not seen what it is, which is a cult. We're the ones deem a cult. But look, we read the definition of a cult and they fall in that.
was done to their martyr God. And then they would pass out the body parts as souvenirs and they would take photographs to go on postcards.
Good old Christians.
And they would bring their kids and call themselves, without irony, Christians. What the actual fuck?
Good evening, I'm Candace Barnett. Wade Phillips is off tonight. We begin with a local church pastor who was fired last night. Mount Sterling Baptist Church in Butler let Pastor Jonathan Greer go. Greer is now talking to News Center 11 tonight about the situation and how he says race played a role in his termination. Tom Williams has more in tonight's top story.
Mount Sterling Baptist Church in Butler without a pastor as of Sunday evening. Pastor Jonathan Greer's termination was put to a vote. 31 people unanimously voting him out of the church. This comes after he says a deacon told him he could not invite black people to their vacation Bible school.
Good old Christianity. And this isn't 1950s Christianity, 1800s Christianity. This is 2000 Christianity.
Was pushed back about where the types of children that we were bringing in, and I was asked to not invite black children to the VBS. I spoke with Freddie Moore, who was a deacon at Mount Sterling Baptist Church. He did not want to go on camera for an interview, but he says it's not a race issue whatsoever. He says Greer wouldn't work with the deacons. He claims the termination was because he would not visit members of the congregation. Moore says Greer only visited a few. This was a particular deacon that did ask me, and ultimately two deacons that had asked me not to invite black people. Moore says anyone, regardless of race, is welcome to their church at any time. Pastor Greer says that's what he was led to believe when he first joined the church. What they really mean is that someone can wander in off the street and they won't stop them, but they explicitly asked me to not invite black people. And I tried to communicate with them that that's just not consistent with Christianity. Greer says the deacons...
It is consistent with Christianity, because if you look at how it's established, it was established on that basis that it wasn't for so-called black people unless you were subjugating them, raping them, lynching them, and having a good time at their expense.
Wanted him to resign from the church quietly. Due to the church bylaws, Greer chose not to. He says his sermon on Sunday was on racism. I wanted the church to know that this is not consistent with the gospel. This is not consistent with God's word, that we honor and give dignity to all people. That's what the Bible teaches us, and all people are worthy and in need of the gospel. And
all Israelites are worthy and in need of the gospel, and the elect of Israel will actually obtain that gospel, that good news.
Racism denies that to a certain amount of people. In Butler, Tom Williams, News Center 11.
That's how I know you still poor broke.
Now, this is how Christianity has helped those semi-barbarous people. Yeah, watch this.
Busted and disgusted because of how you've been honoring me. I'm not worth your McDonald's money. I'm not worth your Red Lobster money. I ain't worth your St. John Nick. Y'all can't afford it no how. I ain't worth y'all Louis Vuitton. I ain't worth your Prada. I'm not worth your Gucci. Mother, I'm saying this, and I promise you, Deacon, it's not with respect and wrong. I'm saying it because I want you to understand just what God is saying. Even found out that Movado, you can buy a Movado watch in Sam's. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And y'all know I asked for one last year. Here it is the whole way in August. I still ain't got it. Y'all ain't saying nothing. Let me kick down the door and talk to my cheap sons and daughters. Her name is Britta Filter, and she is the Queen of New York.
So drag queen coming to church. So let me read this. It says Grace Church in New York had a drag queen come do a show in the church for students from Grace Church School. It says not one person stood up to say this dishonored God's house. This is what good old Christianity has done for us barbarous people, semi-barbarous people.
Man is commanding life.
Let me quickly pull this out. And our people fall for that. Jokers, man. This is Proverbs chapter 14, verse 15. It says, the simple believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well to his goings, man. You can see these people are simple as hell. Oh, Lord.
Man is commanding
And
life.
I don't know if you can see it, yeah? I want to drop it back. I want you to watch this man in the coffin. Watch his mouth. You can even see his mouth moving before while it's meant to be dead. Now, watch his mouth. Watch his mouth. See it moving?
Man is commanding
You see
life.
the white bit come up in his mouth? And you women are the worst to fall for this stupidness as well.
Church of God.
Madness. You know, it's actually hard.
My Jesus.
Jesus.
You alone are God.
The coffin is empty.
Jesus.
The coffin is empty. Follow me, ships. Follow me.
This is what good old Christianity has done for us, man. That good old cult.
Follow me. My sheep will hear the voice. My sheep will hear me. All my sheep come. My sheep. My sheep come. All my sheep come. Be a sheep. Be a sheep. All my sheep.
And that's what I'm saying. A lot of you women are really worse for falling for this madness, man. Some of you men too, but you sisters, man, really get suckered into this cultish behavior. Shalom, there's a piece of prayer the brother brings up. It says Psalms 44, 94 and 8 to 11. It says, and ye fools, Slakia, understand ye brutish among the people, and ye fools, when will ye be wise? He that planted the ear shall he not hear, he that formed the eyes shall he not see. And the Most High, none of this ain't going past the Most High's eyes. See if there's more to that. Yes. Psalms. Says here, verse 10, he that chastiseth the easing shall he not correct, he that teacheth man knowledge shall he not know. The Lord knoweth the thoughts of man, that they are vanity. That's right. And Christianity is a vain thing, man. Yeah, that's why the scripture says, learn not the ways of the heathen. Yeah, this is one of their ways, this cultish ways of theirs. So, how is this meant to help us as a people? And this is why the Most High really has it in for you pastors as well, man. Because you're just forwarding this madness upon our people.
My sheep come. Sheep are coming. All my sheep. All my sheep look in the overflow. My my zip.
Now, when you see stuff like this, they'll be saying, yeah, they're in the spirit, they got the spirit. But when you read the scriptures, anyone you normally read about throwing themselves on the floor, acting the arse, as we say, farming the fool, they normally got an evil spirit on them. And that's what the cult of Christianity does. It puts an evil spirit on you, you know, a spirit that makes you babble a load of madness and think you're speaking in tongues. Yeah. Spirits, man. Yeah. Yeah. Spirits. Evil spirits.
Right. Okay, stand up. Stand up. And be quiet. Stand up and be quiet. Stand up and be quiet. Don't move. Just stand up. Stand up. Don't move.
Yeah, zombies.
Don't move. Be still. We are one. Stand up. Be quiet. Be still. Be still. Be still. Or you come to me. Come. 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 On God.
Before I play some of that, I want to read some of these scriptures, right? It says, Jeremiah 16:19, O Lord, my strength and my fortress and my refuge in the day of affliction. The Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies. Christianity is one big lie. Vanity is vanity as well. And things wherein there is no profit. There's no profit for us in Christianity. Yeah. And the reason why they're coming against us so hard is because we're unearthing those lies that they've told our people for centuries upon centuries. Yeah. And they're getting butthurt. So this is why they take out people like this guy here. They employ people like this guy here to come at us and try and make us look bad because we're unearthing their lies. I'll play this again. Play this again.
You know, they don't even look in our direction. They averted even their eyes.
Who put Mark Rise up, which is Volker Malone, up to this, and who does he work for? Let's see.
I'm just super curious to know, like, what led to all this. Well, one day I was chilling, you know, and I heard a knock on the door, and it was a man in a black suit, and he said, I'm a Jesuit, and we want to hire you. We've got some Vatican money. And I said, okay, do you have any other credentials?
Some Vatican money, yeah. A good old Christian, what would you call it? Religion or faith? The Vatican, yeah. One part of your good old Christianity. Cult, yeah.
And he also told me he works for the FBI, and I was in.
So that's what they do. This is Psalms 50 and 16. But unto the wicked the Most High saith, what was thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in my mouth? And that's what we're doing now. We're exposing all the lies that Christianity has told upon the Most High and upon the scriptures. Yeah, they don't like it, man. Proverbs 15 and 19, the way of the wicked is an abomination unto the Lord. Yeah, but he loveth him that followeth after righteousness. And they don't follow after righteousness. The way it was conceived, it was forced upon us. Yeah, there's nothing righteous about Christianity. But no matter what they do, this is what we say. 2 Corinthians 13 and 8, for we can do nothing against the truth, but for the truth. No matter what they're doing, they can't stop this truth. Yeah, but they're being exposed by us, which is why they're trying to come at us the way they do. But it is what it is. Yeah.
Oh, this is
and this is another one of their Christian pastors. This is what, November the 12th, 2014.
A place that the ministry owns. Well, not own. We're in the process of buying that. Yeah. We don't
So are you renting to buy, or
yeah, we're leasing to buy.
That's what he's leasing to buy.
You have that as an asset of 2,844,500. So do you own it?
I just answered it. So we didn't own it.
Okay, but where does the, I'm sorry?
We're leasing to buy it. Did you, I thought we just said that.
All right, but you have listed it as an asset worth $2,844,000.
Oh, that should be more of a liability.
All right, so where does the number 2,844,000 come from on your
That's the
asset and liability?
That's, I guess, the appraisal value of the home or the residential center.
Is it a home?
No, it's a residential center.
All right, so you're saying it's not something you own, but you have it listed as an asset of $2.8 million.
That's probably a mistake. Like I say, it probably should be a liability.
Okay, what
Your
goes on at
liability.
the residential center?
It is a gathering place for our ministry where I bring in different leaders and also the staff that we have as a place of maybe resort and teaching.
Resort?
Yeah, teaching. A resort where we teach and train.
Could it?
On November 29th, 2013, JMMI paid over $6,000 to Louis Vuitton.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What would that be for?
Well, this is for clothes concerning my TV ministry as well.
We have for Louis Vuitton.
It don't matter what name it is. The point is clothing are allocated to us for ministry purposes as well.
What do you mean they're allocated to you?
In a media ministry.
In a what?
Media ministry.
Yeah.
Okay, on the road, when I'm always traveling and using my clothes, I'm sweating through them. So I'm needing new clothes also for television ministry. Yourself.
And so you used ministry money to buy your wardrobe
outfit. It's allocated more towards ministry apparel.
Does that go into what your income is?
I'm sorry.
Do you show that in your income that you got Louis Vuitton clothing?
No, that's not.
That doesn't show.
Because it don't go there.
It don't go there. I don't know what that means.
It don't belong there. That's out of place.
What's out of place?
You don't get taxed on things like that. That's for ministry business purpose. So it's not
Louis Vuitton.
Well, you can call whatever you want.
So June 2014, you spent $3,500 by JMMI to Versace in the Bahamas. Yes?
I'm sure that's right. If it shows there.
And that was for clothing for you?
Yes, probably. Yes, most likely.
So you don't see that there's any problem when you're ministering to the poor, the sick, the needy, to be appearing in Louis Vuitton and Versace?
Well, that ain't something I purchase all the time.
I'm going to stop this there. I'm going to put the link to this video so you can watch the rest in the description box. But like I said, you got these dudes here. They don't go after people like this because it's part of the same cult, a different faction of the same cultish body. But let me read this. Like the brother says, "Wake up, Israel." Yeah. Actually, the Psalms that I read earlier, Psalm 94, that was by Slim D. Slackyard. Wake up, Israel said, "These churches are finished." Exactly, which is why our people are leaving them in their droves, and they're actually upset that we're bringing out, exposing their foolishness, their lies. So this is Jeremiah 23:1 says, "Woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, saith the Lord." And that's what religion does, man. Scatter the sheep, it destroys them. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on that because they like to call us a cult when they themselves are a cult. Let me just read that definition again. A cult is a group or movement held together by a shared commitment to a charismatic leader or ideology. In this case, it would be white Jesus. says it has a belief system that has the answers to all of life's questions, which Christianity believes it does, and offers a special solution to be gained only by following the leader's rules. So as much as they want to call us a cult, they themselves are a cult, and they're the biggest cult. The word cult can be broadly defined as formal religious veneration, a system of religious beliefs and its body of adherents, a religion regarded as unorthodox or spurious, and that word spurious, not being what it purports to be, false or fake, which is what Christianity is. It's not what it reports to be. Yeah, it's false and it's fake. Great devotion to it. That's why they're getting us, or trying to get us the way they are. That's why they're hiring people like this.
Jesuit, and we want to hire. I heard a knock on the door, and it was a man in a black suit, and he said, "I'm a Jesuit, and we want to hire you. We've got some Vatican money." And I said, "Okay."
Yeah, we got some money from one of the biggest fraction in this cult. Yeah.
Hire you. We've got some Vatican money. And I said, "Okay, do you have any other credentials?" And he also told me he works for the FBI, and I was in.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's it really. Hopefully it was edifying. Just wanted to touch on that cult called Christianity, because they like to call us a cult, ignoring the fact that they themselves are a cult. And guys like this don't pick up on the cultish behavior of pastors like this using this cult, you know. They don't report on things like that. Anyway, I'm going to close out. Hopefully it was edifying. I'm going to give all glory. Yeah, Shalom, King. I'm going to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Yahweh, Kadash, Kwame, Allah.